while my wife is out.
I got a package in the mail.
I thought I'd take this opportunity to use the kitchen.
I think I better do this outside,
So let's unpackage it.
just to be safe.
Ooh, look at this.
This seems safer. You know, if Obama was still in the White House, I'd get an invite. Not that I'd take it.
Hi, good to see you, old friend. I can't touch the top, but the bottom feels cold.
This better be it. We have a water pump.
The bucket's starting to drop.
My inspiration for this project comes from Hero of Alexandria back in the 1st century.
I don't really get the science behind this, so let's ask AI.
How does steam pressure in an enclosed sphere with one outlet cause water pressure? Send.
The introduction of high enthalpy steam into a confined aqueous system with an egress to an ambient environment precipitates a cascade of thermodynamic and fluid dynamic interactions. The steam's phase transition to liquid upon contact with cooler water releases latent heat, increasing the system's internal energy. The resultant pressure differential induces fluid egress, governed by Bernoulli's principle and continuity, towards equilibrium with atmospheric conditions. This dynamic system, oscillating towards a steady state, is characterized by balanced energy influx and efflux, modulated by environmental heat transfer and potential phase changes, epitomizing a complex interplay of energy, mass, and momentum conservation.
One of my goals for an upcoming camping trip is to use this pressure cooker, which I found at Goodwill for about $7. Put some water in there, generate steam, which would come out of this pipe and then enter into an enclosed sphere. The sphere would be filled, well, not filled, but maybe 3/4 of the way filled with water. And this is a basic idea of what's going on in the sphere where the pressure is building. So let's see, the pressure cooker is pushing steam into the sphere. It empties at the top above the water line, and below the water line there's this copper tube. So the water pressure is building up and it's forcing the water to go through the only outlet up to the bucket. And on top of the sphere I need to drill 4 holes, one for a water intake, one for a pressure relief valve, just for safety's sake, because we don't want this thing exploding. And then I'll have an input for the pipe from the pressure cooker, so the steam would enter the sphere. And because of the pressure that would be built up, I'll have an output with another copper pipe. And my hope is that there will be water pressure coming out of the sphere, and we can use that water pressure in a variety of ways. So the first thing to do is to just mark about where I want these holes to be drilled. So it'll look something like that with 4 holes. Next I want to punch a couple indentations in the middle of those circles so I can get the drill started. Without it wobbling around. Thanks, Dad, for teaching me that. There, 4 indents. Now what I'm going to do is take this small drill bit and make 4 pilot holes in each of those indentations, and then I'll use the step bit to widen those holes so that the fittings will attach snugly without depending completely on the JB weld. It took me a while to get that initial hole drilled. Very tough stainless steel. And then once I did, I used this step bit, which was a little difficult at first, but then once it started, it made quite a lot of progress really quickly. And now I'm using this larger step bit So it has these gradient rings here. All right, so now we'll do the three remaining holes. Make that punch hole a little bit more pronounced. I'm finding that on the floor here I have more leverage. So now I have 3 little holes drilled around the big one, and I'm ready to use the step drill. And I'll just very carefully try and get to the right diameter. Okay. That's the first step. Second step. A little bit bigger. Third, fourth, fifth. Now it's going. Got to be careful not to overdo it, because then we can't correct it. So one step at a time. So here's the finished product, at least loosely fit. I'm going to tighten them, and I'm going to actually have to put a copper pipe down one of these to reach the bottom on the inside. And so one will be the input from the pressure cooker, and then the output into the bucket of water. And that's the pressure release valve. This is the water fill. And I made this pretty large so that I can get in here and tighten the other side of these two things, and maybe even this if I want to put a nut on the other side. I'm really looking forward to testing it. I'm not going to use the JB Weld yet, and I couldn't get the copper pipe to attach to the fitting inside the sphere. This is all just temporary because I want to see how it works. So let's go try. Now the first thing I want to do is get all the metal shavings from drilling through this out of the sphere, and I already shook it quite a bit, so there should be nothing left in there, as you can see. And now I'll just fill this up and swish it around, make sure there are no more shavings inside it. Now we'll just fill this about 3/4 of the way with water, and we'll also have to fill this pressure cooker. While my wife is out, I thought I'd take this opportunity to use the kitchen and see if we can get this thing to work.
You know what? On second thought, I think I better do this outside, just to be safe.
This seems safer. Losing a lot of steam through here, but the problem is this copper needs to go almost to the bottom of the sphere, and I can't get a fitting underneath, at least not yet. Well, I managed to get the copper tube that goes inside the sphere to connect to this connector by using my wrench underneath here, and it's as tight as it goes, but it's a bit wobbly. I'm a little concerned about that. I could put a couple washers under there, or I could just use the JB Weld. I have the JB Weld. I don't have to spend any extra money on it. This is my first time using JB Weld, but my dad showed me how to use it. So you just mix equal portions, and we'll just take a dab of that. It won't be pretty, but hopefully it'll keep the steam from leaking out. We want this to be pretty much steam tight. And if this doesn't work, then we can always go to Lowe's and get another connector with a washer. And I'll just have to clean this whole mess up. Now, all right. Before I go out back and test this thing one more time, I got a package in the mail of something that I'm going to, Lord willing, add to the sphere right here. So let's unpackage it. It comes in a nice cardboard box with a UPC sticker on it. Ooh, look at this. Some instructions. Ooh. It is a pressure gauge. Wow. Isn't that beautiful? So that's 2 steps, and we're not close yet. Put some WD-40 on there just to lubricate it to prevent the drill bit from getting too hot. Get a little smoke now with every step. So I put the nut on my finger and slipped it under the sphere and slowly turned the gauge until the nut engaged. So the nut's on there. Now I'll take this wrench, try and slip it over the nut. We probably only need to make this finger tight. I guess it's kind of handy that it turns around. I pre-boiled this water on the stove just for efficiency's sake, so we can get started right away. So once again, the pressure cooker is about halfway full with water, and it's being heated, creating steam that goes through that long copper tube into the sphere. It's emptying at the top of the sphere. The sphere is filled, I'd say about 80% to 85% with water, just warm water from the faucet. So my theory is that the pressure coming in from the steam will cause the water in the sphere to go out into the bucket. Look at that! Whoa! The water's coming out. The pressure, I'm not getting any significant pressure on the gauge, but look at that! Can we use that to turn a chicken rotisserie? I'm not sure. Looks like we have about a good inch of water in there.
I don't know if you ever noticed in the South, but people tend to wave like this. Hi, good to see you, old friend. Once it gets to 3 inches, I think I'll start timing it and see how long it takes to get to 4 inches. So how many inches per minute?
Maybe I'll just wait until it gets to 2 3/4.
That gauge is still at 0. I wonder if it's even working because it's moved a bit. All right, we're at 2 3/4. So I started the timer. One thing I have absolutely no idea about is when the water in the pressure cooker is going to run out. I'm a little bit concerned about that. I've never experienced the water running out of a pressure cooker because I've never really even used one before this project. It's about an inch now, 3 3/4, and we're at 5:45 on the timer. I guess we'll know the sphere is empty when the water no longer comes into the bucket. Once the pressure cooker stops hissing, I'm going to take the cover off and we'll see if there's any water. I don't think there's any water left in it. All right, let's see what we have here. Oh, look at that. We still have a lot of water in here. It's gone down about an inch. That's it. So it was still generating plenty of steam. If I filled this bucket 3/4 of the way, I could probably get 3 hours out of it. I'm pretty pleased about the success of this so far. I think we can really get some useful work. So while we're cooking a chicken or cooking steaks on a rotisserie or in a rotisserie basket, we can actually use the same fire to cause water pressure to turn the spit automatically. So all I have to do is sit by the campfire and enjoy the experience. All right, we're ready for another experiment. This time, I found this propane stove in my garage, buried in all our moving boxes. So I'm going to use that to heat up the pressure cooker, which is right there. And then the steam will enter this sphere. It will, that's the input. I'll have to attach it still. That's the output. And I got this silicone hose. It says it's good until 500 degrees Fahrenheit and it's kink free. And that goes up to the bucket. And this time, instead of emptying at the bottom, I'm going to empty it at the top so we can see the water streaming out. And as the bucket fills with water, it's going to drop, but slowly because of the counterweight. I use this watering can to fill the jug just enough to allow it to slowly fall and lift the bucket up. See that? So now, when the water pump gets going, it's going to fill the bucket with water and slowly the bucket will drop. Now, this isn't set up with the spit yet. I'm just trying to test it out first, see if I can get the water to fill the bucket and move the counterweight. In between these pulleys, I'll incorporate the wheel of the spit. So as the bucket drops, the wheel on the spit will turn, and actually this counterweight will be on the other side on another tripod or something. I haven't figured that out yet. This time I'm going to fill this as much as I can. So hopefully once the steam builds up the pressure, the water will start flowing and we'll get a nice long run, at least to the bottom of the tripod. Hopefully I can get this bucket up in a tree on a pulley so we have quite a long distance. All right, let's fire this baby up. So the steam comes out into the copper pipe, 1/4 inch, into this sphere full of water. It has the safety pressure relief valve, a gauge that doesn't seem to be working, and the water output, which goes all the way to the bottom, or almost to the bottom of the sphere. The water comes out. I don't have a clamp that'll fit that, so I'm hoping the silicone will just stick on there without any leakage. And then it goes through the pipe up to the bucket, and we'll be able to see it flow. It's starting to rain a little bit, and we're getting some steam coming out of the pressure cooker through the relief. I guess that's the safety valve over there. Eventually we'll be able to see some water flow from that sphere into the silicone tubing. And hopefully the water will go up the tube into the bucket. It's been running for about an hour and there's still no water coming out of the hose. Bucket's empty. And I think the reason is because I failed to fill the sphere with hot water. I used cold water. I can't touch the top, but the bottom feels cold. It's starting to get dark, so what I think I'm gonna do is just shut everything down for the night, let it cool off for safety's sake, and then tomorrow I'll fill the sphere with hot water as well as the pressure cooker, and that should get things started a lot quicker, and hopefully we'll get some water flow. It's a new day, and this time I've got the pressure cooker filled about a third of the way with water, and it's all hooked up, building hopefully pressure in the sphere, and I'm just waiting for some water to come out of the hose in the bucket. Well, we've got some leakage here, steam leaking out at the bottom of the pressure relief valve. So I'm gonna have to turn this off, tighten it up. I didn't use JB Weld on that fitting yet. I just wanted to try it without it first. It must be that valve. You know, if Obama was still in the White House, I'd get an invite. Not that I'd take it. The JB Weld's been drying for about 6 hours. It's not the prettiest, but hopefully it'll contain the steam. Now we just wait. Nothing yet. While we're waiting, I thought I'd take a moment to respond to some of your comments. Let's see, Da Vinci never had gallon water jugs. Oh, they were right next to the bicycle lane at Rome Mart. Send. I got that one from one of you. Rome Mart. Looks like we've got a lot of steam escaping from the sphere. I know we're losing some steam through here. Plus, we're still getting a zero pressure on the gauge. I don't know if it's because the gauge is faulty, if it's not installed right, or if it's because of the steam coming out. Back to the drawing board once again. It's a new day, and I applied some of the last JB Weld that I have onto some of these connectors. And now I'm going to put some Teflon tape on the cap that goes right on top there. And I think I've got everything sealed pretty well, so the steam won't escape from the sphere. This better be it. I hear the water flowing. This time I think it's working. I can see the water going up the tube. And look what we have here. We have a water pump. It works. Look at that water flow. We might need to slow that down a bit. Bucket's starting to drop. I can't believe how much water pressure we're getting. It's not leaking where I have the silicone hose over the copper tubing, so that's good. That makes it easy to take on and off. I think we're getting to the end of the water in the sphere. Better turn the heat off. I took the hose and stuck it in the water, and I think the water is going down. I think the water is going back into the sphere. I think I can hear the water going back in. So I've got the time lapse going on the camera so we can see the water. It is going down back into the sphere. It's being siphoned back into the sphere. So I'm just waiting for the bucket to rise again. I think it's empty. Why didn't this go down? You notice how the bucket is a little bit tilted to the left? Well, I had the hose draining on the right side, so I just moved it over to the left side. Yeah, we're not getting any more siphoning. I can see the water stopped right there. One observation that I've made is that the bucket dropped too quickly. And it dropped too quickly because the water flow was too great. There was too much water coming into the bucket all at once. And it just quickly dropped the bucket. So I talked to my dad a few weeks ago, and I was just thinking this whole project through with him, and he recommended that I get a ball valve. So I went to Lowe's and I got this ball valve, 1/4-inch plug it says, and I got a 1/4-inch composite connector. I'm not a plumber, so I don't get this. If it says 1/4-inch on this connector and this is a 1/4-inch plug, you would think that these two would go together and this would screw right in, but it doesn't. This is too small, so I don't know if that's 3/8 or what, but for the next experiment, I'm going to get this connector right down at Lowe's, and we're going to see if we can get more time out of this contraption. I just got back from Lowe's, and one of the workers there helped me out. I didn't know that there were 2 types of compression fittings for water. So this is the one I originally bought, 1/4-inch to 1/4-inch comp to comp. And this is the one that I needed, 1/4-inch comp to 1/4-inch MIP. So the 1/4-inch comp will go onto the copper pipe. The MIP part will screw into the ball valve. And I've got another MIP to 1/4-inch comp for the other side, and I'll just put a little piece of copper tubing there, and then I'll be able to slide the silicone tube right over that. And that doesn't seem to leak, so this should be able to control the flow of the water and make it slower. Now here's something interesting I learned. The fitting comes like this with the little brass insert in here, but this is meant for plastic tubing. And I'm not going into plastic tubing. I just learned this. I watched a YouTube video. We don't really need that. All we need is this. And we screw this down on here. And it's supposed to compress it once I tighten it. I don't have a complete wrench set, so I have to monkey around a little bit. This is full open, this is full closed. We don't want it full closed, or maybe we'll get too much pressure in the sphere. So I'm just going to open it a little bit and we'll see what happens. You can kind of see some bubbles in here. Once you see them moving, we know we've got some flow going on. Make it a little faster.
See? Nice. That's a lot less than before. Looks like the
gallon of water is starting to lift, but still way too fast. We need that to go slower. I'm gonna try and open that ball valve just a little bit less and see if we can get more time. It seems to be very delicate balance with the water flow and the weight of the gallon, or eventually the work of the rotisserie spit. Hopefully it'll work out at a campsite, but I'm not quite ready yet. So I'm going to leave you with one final shot today with the contraption running and the ball valve set at a very slight opening. And we're going to see if the bucket will fall a lot slower than it did previously.